Hey, Nick, thanks for taking the time. You're facing a Vermont team who has 33 goals scored this season. That's second in the American East, and you go up against a guy, against Michael McCormick. He has who's third in the American East in goals per game. What do you guys got? What do you guys got to do on the defensive end to mix things up, potentially keep things the same going into Vermont after a big win against UVA?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, obviously, you were kind of hinting at the end is we can't get complacent here. We had a nice turnaround against Virginia compared to how we came out against Army. So, that was a positive note on the defensive side of the ball. But, our scout will just trust in our coaches that they, looked at what we have coming up. Vermont's a little bit of a different style than we typically see being in the ACC. You see a lot of athletic downhill dodges. Vermont is kind of, more pairs offense. They do a little more, flashy stuff. So just trusting the scout. Our scout team has been doing a great job this week getting us ready for what we'll see.
Awesome, Nick. Thank you.
Of course.
Next, we go to Mark Larson.
Hey, Nick, do me a favor, tilt your screen down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that.
There you go. Perfect. You mentioned the turnaround. How embarrassed were you guys after the first game, and how much was that a part of game two?
Yeah, embarrassment's a good word, especially, myself and a bunch of the other guys being, fifth years and seniors. We've been around for a while. We've been a part of some great defenses, and, it felt pretty bad, to be honest. Felt like we've let, ourselves, our families, coaches, the fans, a lot of people down coming out lackluster like that, giving up 18, in our home field in the Dome is, unacceptable, just to put it that way. So, a big focus this past week after Army was just simply put, honestly, we got to play better, on our end, the defensive side of the ball. We have the talent. You can't say that we don't. So it's just a matter of making the right play and executing.
And a real quick follow-up, you mentioned fans. You're actually going to have some this weekend. How cool is that going to be after all this time?
Yeah, that's certainly, a bunch of the guys got pumped up hearing that when Coach Jesco told us that at the end of the huddle. Hopefully, obviously the school does the right things as far as health and safety. So we're crossing our fingers it goes well, and then maybe we could get our families in for a game too.
Thanks, Mark. Next, we'll go to Ben Schulman.
Hey, Nick. Brett Kennedy switches kind of from close defense to LSM last game, and Mitch comes in. How did Brett's switch help your overall defense?
So it just allows us to do different things when Brett's up top as opposed to down low. I think it's pretty evident. The second we move him up, he scores a goal. He's, pushing the rock, making transitions. So I think that's where he really thrives. Don't get me wrong, Brett's, one of the most athletic people I've seen and on our team, hands down. I think he could do everything, but I know he's more confident when he's up top, and that's just kind of what he's done since he's been young, kind of that between the 30s is where he really excels. He just makes plays and gets it happen. And then, Mitch came in and, he's a big defenseman. He's got a lot of range and he played great. So it allowed us to move some pieces together, and I think our defense responded really well.
And just a quick follow-up, you talked about athleticism. For a guy coming off, 2 ACL injuries, does it ever surprise you, still how athletic he can be out on the field?
Yeah, some things, you guys don't see on game day because we can't unleash all the tricks, but, some stuff that he does in practice is, sometimes it's just jaw-dropping seeing someone be able to move like he can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Andrew Crane.
Hey, Nick. I'm curious what the offseason kind of looked like for you. You leave campus in March. What were some of your areas of focus, over the summer? And I guess what kind of drills did you put yourself through, I guess, wherever they were, or however you're able to get them, going to work on that?
Yeah, so this was definitely a little bit of a weird offseason. Obviously, gyms and stuff were closed down. So it was kind of, you had to really dig deep, and it was more self, motivation and how do you want to get better because, the resources aren't really out there. I was actually fortunate enough. I've been working with a personal trainer for the last couple of years. So we were able to socially distance and stuff on a turf field that we had access to. So I was able to get out and, do some footwork drills, and I was able to bring my stick, and we were able to, work on some fundamentals like that. And then obviously later towards, when things were starting to open back up, I was able to get back in the gym And then my dad, I'm pretty fortunate. He kind of turned our basement into a little bit of an at-home gym, so I was able to keep up on the the weights side end of things. So that all worked out for me.
What would a typical like footwork session look like for you? Like, what are you using, like a lot of ladder stuff, or like what are you kind of doing in one of those workouts?
A lot of cone drills. So all specific movements that I kind of see in game day. The best way that I honestly tell people that don't really have any ideas, like I just train like I'm a cornerback in the NFL. It's kind of that similar movement, those drop steps when a receiver's running a route and kind of, trying to stick with guys and just anticipate moves. It's just, a lot of reaction and anticipate.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next with Arrow.
Is that personal trainer someone that you brought in like right after your redshirt year, or?
Not specifically. I just got honestly tipped off. I'm from Long Island, so it was just someone known that one of my friends used, and he was he was great.
Overall, I mean, like you've had a couple. Well, I guess you had a shortened season last year to kind of start on close defense, and then this year starting again. How have you kind of felt out there in your game personally, and especially to start this year? How have you kind of felt that you've done?
Yeah, no, I think we're, in a good spot right now. I mean, when you're looking at the big scheme of things, I felt like we had an advantage coming back, from that canceled season because we were able to, return the real nucleus of our team. I think, whatever the stat is, 6 of our leading scorers were back, and then we had a bunch of guys back, Drake coming back at net, a real, presence with our defense there. So, that's part of the reason why it was a little disappointing to see our season opener come out the way we did. But, it seems like the guys have been playing really hard, and it's, kind of that thing where, you're not all that, and it's a reality gut punch. So, there's a lot of good teams out there. The field's really deep this year. So we just got to strap in and come ready to play.
Has your role changed at all this year compared to last?
I wouldn't say so much. I mean, we're still doing the same things that we do every year. Our defensive schemes and stuff, like we haven't changed too much. I mean, based on who we play, Vermont's a different team. So we have some tricks up our sleeve that we'll do, specifically for Vermont based on what we've seen. But, as far as week to week, we try to focus on what we can do as opposed to, what our opponent's doing mostly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll go to Nate Mink.
Hey, Nick. Maybe it's because there haven't been fans in the building, but it just seemed like the bench was maybe a little extra juiced up last weekend. Is that premeditated going into a game, or what's kind of the genesis of what we saw from you guys on Saturday night?
Wasn't that bench awesome? I mean, my God, that was I'm proud of the guys. We expect a lot from everyone on the team, and we talk about all the time, kind of harp on, no matter what your role is, if you're a starter and you're out there, or if you're a scout guy, or you just have a role on this team and you got to come and perform every day. So our bench has been something that we've actually taken a lot of pride in. I've been there myself, sitting on the side, and you get jacked up when someone scores a goal or someone hits someone, and they were we were fortunate on the field to make a lot of nice juice plays, and our bench, gave us a ton of energy that we were able to keep going. So hats off to those guys.
And then how anxious is your family for trying to get up here and see you play in person?
Yeah, I actually called my mom before once we found out, and she was on the moon. She's dying to get up here. My whole family, my mom works out of the house on her own schedule, and my father's retired, so they've actually been fortunate to come to every game, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they've missed one now that I think about it. And then this was the first season, with no fans. They weren't allowed to come. So I know they're dying to get back up here. They love it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nate. Next we'll go back to Mark.
Sorry, trying to keep an eye on the SU women's game going on right now too. Nick, I want to ask you more about the fans. Is it almost going to seem weird to see real people in the stands? I mean, after all this time, we just haven't seen a whole lot of that around here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be an adjustment. One benefit of having no fans was, defensively, we could hear a lot better. There's not that crazy crowd noise and stuff. So when we're communicating out there about slides or whatever we got to do, it's definitely easier to hear. So, obviously I want my family and fans here, the local SU Nation here, but it's been good for our defense that we haven't had them here at least. But I mean, once they get back in and, we score a first goal or, we make a play that, the dome erupts, there's nothing really like it in college lacrosse.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Mark. We got time for a couple more if anybody's got them. Looks like Andrew's got one. We'll start there.
Yeah, just real quickly, Nick. You kind of go up against him every day in practice. What is Owen Hiltz's skill set, kind of brought to this team? What stands out when you're guarding him? What makes it difficult to guard him, and what does he, kind of bring?
Yeah, just honestly a smart player. I think coming from high school, making that transition from a high school senior to a college freshman, there's growing pains, and then sometimes they're just ready to roll. Owen came in and prepared, and he was just fit into that category that seemed like his first day here. He just understood the pace of the game. He molds with our offense really well. He's a high IQ lacrosse player. He seems like he's always finding the right spot, which is, evident that you saw, this past weekend on game day. He always finds those spots that he puts himself in that benefits himself in our offense. So, I mean, just a high IQ player, and he's doing all the right things. So.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. For our last question, we'll go to Ben Schulman.
Hey, Nick. Drake really had kind of a bounce back performance last game. When he is on his game, how much energy does that give you guys?
Yeah, a lot of energy, a lot of confidence. We know our defense, we have certain rules and certain things that if we got to give up shots, there's certain angles and certain yardage that we want to let it come from. But, it's always reassuring knowing that, we got the best goalie in the country behind us. He's ready to bail us out, and he makes some, incredible saves that he has no business making at all. So, it definitely benefits our defense knowing we got a rocking cage behind us.
Thanks. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for joining us, everybody. That concludes today's press conference. We'll see those.